Hello, I'm RJ Mamula. If you are enjoying these philosophy videos, please subscribe to the channel and like the videos. In this video, we are going to talk about the philosophy on property. Think about something you own. If you own something, it became your property in one of three ways. You bought it, you inherited it, or it was given to you as a gift. Now, if you got it by trade, that counts as buying it. The money you make from your job, you buy it with your labor. Now, before it was your property, it was someone else's property, and before it was their property, it was someone else's. So how does property become someone's property in the first place? Well, again, we're going to look at Thomas Hobbes and John Locke. They had two differing views on what makes property property. Hobbes believed that property doesn't exist in nature, that it can only exist if there is a government or some other entity to recognize it as someone's property. And namely that no one has any right to property, but property is recognized for the interest of society. Locke, on the other hand, defined property as the fruits of one's labor. For instance, if you find an apple tree out in the wild that belongs to no one and you pick the apple, that apple is your property because it's the fruit of your labor from your picking it. If you catch a fish, the fish becomes your property because you caught it. He believed that anything in a state of nature becomes one's property if the person mixes it with their labor. So if we're talking land, if you till a land and grow crops on it, the crops become your property and the land that you made into farmland is now your property. So those are the two differing views on property by Thomas Hobbes and John Locke. Now, we have to address the issue of intellectual property, patents, trademarks, copyrights. Are those a right? If you follow Locke, you could say that an idea, an invention, is the fruit of one's intellectual labor. Now, a critic of the idea of intellectual property would say that if it's your property, your right to it doesn't expire over a set period of time. Yet that's the way it is in reality. You get a patent or you copyright a book, it runs out, it becomes public domain, and then anyone can create a copy of it and sell it without your permission. Now, some would argue that there is no right to intellectual property, but it's practical to recognize it, to incentivize innovation and creativity. And then there's critics of it who say that it only keeps prices up, thus delaying access to the product by those who need it the most. But that's my discussion on the philosophy of property, and I look forward to reading your thoughts on it in the comments.